What's up, guys? Welcome to another long-awaited episode of Pincade. Um, had a lot going on. I got sick for a while. Then I just got busy trying to recover from the illness. Everything gets backed up and everything. So throughout this whole entire period, I've been working on getting Hyperspin working. I know my last video was about Mala, and Mala wasn't too bad of a front end, but to be honest with you, I couldn't resist the flashiness and coolness of Hyperspin. So I took another shot at it again because I failed at this thing like 3 times before and finally got everything working. So this video is gonna go through Hyperspin and show how to set this thing up because this thing is kind of a beast to set up. And it's going to be a very long video. I'm going to try and make it as quickly as possible. But before I start with that, I just want to say that the channel just recently broke over 100 subscribers, so that was pretty cool. Because when I started this channel, it was nothing more than just a way to try and make things easier for other people that I've grunted through myself and um, kind of felt that it could have been explained in much easier terminology and stuff, and maybe having videos would make it even easier for other people. So that's kind of where it started from. And I didn't really think anybody would be interested in it. I thought maybe like 3 people would tell me to go fuck myself, and that would be the end of the video, at the end of the channel. But it's actually kind of growing, so it's kind of cool to see that happening. And I'm really not putting much effort into it. So it is what it is. But so that's kind of cool. I've been hearing some feedback from people, um, and I take the feedback positively. However, there are some requests for better quality video as far as recording and having zoom features and stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't put any money into this thing. I kind of do it as quickly as possible whenever I have a chance. And I searched around for open source free recording software, and maybe it's not the greatest thing, but it kind of gets the job done. So if anybody knows of freeware, recording software that works, I mean, even if you look at my desktop, you see HyperCam is there, Open Broadcast is there. I was going through a bunch of these, and I finally got so fed up, I just used Open Broadcast, just because it was free and easy to work with, and it is what it is. But if the quality is degraded and it's not so great, um, and you know of a better solution that doesn't cost me money, I'm definitely willing to take a look at it. As far as audio quality, there is some commentary about the audio quality is a little um, lacking when it comes to playing games with the sound. I'll try and I'm not going to do it on this video, but I'll try and adjust the audio levels for games so you can still hear the game. And hear me talking over it or whatever. This one may be a little bit difficult because I just don't have enough time to tinker with that right now. Somebody else asked and requested potentially cloning my drive. That's not going to happen. Not to put it rudely like that, but there's too much forensics there for me to clone my drive and like sending out to people. I don't know what data. I don't remember every single thing I go on with this machine, and what cache data might be there and what deleted files might be recoverable and stuff. So I'm not going to do that, but I am working on a project for one of my personal friends that I'm copying all of the tables that I've manipulated. Uh, so I am willing to take that same file that I'm going to give him and put that on a file sharing program somewhere for everybody, depending on what size it is. And I'll put the link in one of the videos, once that's done, because I haven't even started that yet. But so that'll give you all of my actual what I feel comfortable distributing uh, tuned tables that I did. Now, granted, they're full screen tables, right? They're not desktop tables. So if you don't have a pinball cabinet, I don't know how it's going to help you, but um, and I'm not releasing the ROMs with it because the ROMs will just add to the frustration of the file size. Um, so look out for that if you're looking for my cabinet table. Now I'm not saying that they're the greatest things out there or anything like that, and you use it at your own risk, right? That's gonna be the disclaimer. I don't want to hear oh, I downloaded your table thing, and all of a sudden the next day my whole bank account and life was stolen. That has nothing to do with me. There's nothing malicious being put into there from my end, and the disclaimer is you're using it at your own risk, right? So there was one other thing I wanted to address. Somebody asked me to look into a JW Jukebox type thing. I think it's like a jukebox type application for the pinball machine or something. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just throw Pandora on in the back end when I'm playing. I drop my front end, I load Pandora, I crank the speakers on my table up, and I reload the front end and play and just let Pandora do its thing in the background. Um, I would also do the same thing with like Apple Music or something like that. Um, but if you want the jukebox thing, that's fine. The only thing is I was trying to search for it and I could not find it. I felt kind of stupid. So if you can email me the link to the actual application, I'll take a look at it and see if I can get this thing working. I think I messed with it a while ago, but I could not find a web page for it. I mean, like I said, I felt kind of stupid. So send me the link because I couldn't find it. So anyway, I think that addresses some of the feedback that I got, and I think we're ready to start Hyperspin. So that's not too bad. 7 minutes to kind of go over a quick news update and respond to some of you guys in real time, in video time, whatever, rather than typing. I'll be honest with you. I read every single message, but I am not. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? I read it and then I go, oh man, I gotta respond to that, and then like in like 5 minutes, it's that thought is out the window, and I'm configuring something, and then that's the end of it. So I'll try and at the start of videos try and address things that I come across because I just have a bad habit of not responding to them. Um, so finally, let's start Hyperspin. Hyperspin is a front end for all of your emulation for video games. There is a HyperPin, which is kind of like a Pinball X version. Um, I don't know how well it works. Everybody's always said use Pinball X, and that's kind of been the mentality for that. And I usually kind of go with the flow of the community of what everybody else is using because everybody's using it probably for a reason, right? Um, However, when it comes to MAME and Nintendo and Super Nintendo and all that stuff, most people either lean towards Maximus or Hyperspin. Um, I personally used Maximus before. I didn't really like it. You also have to pay for it like a one-time charge. Wasn't too expensive. It kind of set up fairly easily, but I just wasn't a fan of it. I don't know why. I like the way the Hyperspin stuff looks the best. And Mala, like I said from last week, that's more of an easier setup if you don't want something this technical. But let's take a look at it. So one thing is Hyperspin kind of uses two applications, which is Hyperspin, obviously, and the other one is Rocket Launcher. They used to call this Hyperlaunch HQ or something like that. Now it's called Rocket Launcher. Allegedly, they're relaunching Hyperlaunch HQ2 or something like that. So whatever. I'm doing this video with Rocket Launcher, and to be honest with you, I haven't set this up in like over a month. So this might be a rocky video as I remember what I had to do to get this stuff working. You're going to need an account on both of these sites. I'm already logged in. I've already downloaded the files. They're free to make the accounts. but there is a paid portion to this stuff, and I'll kind of get to that later on. But I think it was worth the expense before you shut the video off. You don't have to spend the money, but it does make your life a lot easier. So let's get to the files of what you need here. If you go, I'm on the Hyperspin, I'm already logged in. If you do downloads, you'll see the Hyperpin here, which actually looks like it's not even on the site anymore, because you might find it, maybe they have it on another site or something like that. I'm not even going to get into that, but there's Hyperspin. You click that, and then you would do the 1.3.3 full install and just download this. Not going to really go into that any further. Actually, I'll leave this site open because we're going to look at something later on. Rocket Launcher. Probably not the best name for something, especially with all the internet spying that's going on. And NSA is probably like, why is this guy trying to buy a rocket launcher? Do Google? Is he retarded? But it really is an awesome program, and it looks like this awesome program timed me out. See if I can remember my password. All right, so now I'm back in. Go to downloads, obviously. There's a rocket launcher link right here. And you want the 1.0 full install. Now, also to note, this zip file, RAR file, whatever it is, comes password protected for some reason. The password is right here. www.rlauncher.com. That was kind of, I don't know why they do that. I don't know what is the deal with that, but you have to put that in or else you ain't, I'll give you an example right here because it's right here. Yeah, it's fine, whatever. www. What is it, rlauncher? Yeah, rlauncher.com. Right, it works. I kind of don't want to see people say, "Oh, I tried to follow this thing and I couldn't. What's the password?" Because I'm gonna be like, "Really, dude? You're not paying attention, man." But we're gonna close this rocket launcher site because we don't really need to anything else. I'm gonna leave Hyperspin open because we're gonna talk about some pay stuff later. So I already extracted this stuff into this Hyperspin folder here. So this is really Hyperspin. Just ignore the version number that they put at the end. So hopefully this doesn't blow up in my face. Let's go to rocket launcher. I don't know why they do that. Hold on. Let me just fix that really quick. I don't want to be triple clicking through folders here. Okay. So the first thing is global emulators example INI. I was told to make a copy of this file. And by the way, I went into rocket launcher. I know I just blasted through that really quick. I'm sorry. I'm a little anxious because I don't think this is gonna go well. But I'm in a Hyperspin folder. I dumped Hyperspin in one folder. I dumped rocket launcher in another. I went into rocket launcher, and then I went into settings, and there's a file here that says global emulators. I'm not gonna explain what this is just yet. We're gonna go through that later. But for now, I was told to always make a copy of this thing, dump it in there, and then you want to just take one of these and let's take the original right here and take out everything and just make a global emulators INI. And if you do right click and then click edit, all this is a configuration file for every single emulator like known to man. And it also tells you, what file formats it already has, like that it supports. So for example, let's look for MAME. Here's the MAME section, and Where is the file formats? Okay, zip and 7-zip, right? That's what it supports for ROM extensions. Now, that doesn't mean that's weighted in gold. I could just put a bar here and put something else like rare or something. I don't want to save that. You can put it in there. You don't have to edit the INI file though. We're going to set this up through Rocket Launcher as well. So the next thing is inside is a folder called inside the Rocket Launcher folder is another folder called Rocket Launcher UI. So this I'm going to make a copy of. I'm going to make a shortcut and I'm just going to send it. I'm going to send it to the desktop so it's just a little bit easier. Okay. I think we're good on that part of it. And now there's the Hyperspin section of this. And we're going to take a copy of Hyperspin EXE and HyperHQ, I believe. And I'm just making shortcuts so I don't have to keep going into I'm going to kind of move all this other stuff out of the limelight here so that. Okay, so we're only focusing on these 3 shortcuts that I made. Now, the reason why I pulled out these 3 shortcuts is because this is the stuff you're going to mainly work with to get this working. All right, we're going to start with just explaining what these things are. Hyperspin EXE is nothing more than to start the front end. Right, it's the executable that starts the front end. HyperHQ EXE is the configuration tool that controls the front end, right? So if you want to adjust the way your front end is operating or whatever, you run HyperHQ, you change parameters in there, and then you just close it, and then you run Hyperspin EXE, and it loads the front end, and you'll see your changes. Rocket Launcher UI.exe is what the front end communicates to in order to get to the emulator and run your ROM and everything else like that. And then when you exit out of the game or the emulator, it'll return control back to Hyperspin. All right, I've heard a lot of crazy analogies on how this stuff works. That is the simplest way I can say that it works. So the first thing I want to set up is Rocket Launch. Oh, that's awesome. I don't have the framework installed. Where is this .NET Social Cloud app? Is this actually this kind of makes me oh, it actually is coming from just want to make sure it's actually coming from Microsoft. All right, hopefully this doesn't take forever. You know, guys, let me install this really quick because I did this on my test box and now I'm doing it on the pinball machine, and obviously I was missing a framework file. And I don't want to make you guys sit here for 20 minutes watching this thing install. So I'm gonna cut the video right here and then we're gonna come right back. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. That only took about a minute or two. So, but like I said, this is gonna be a long video. Let's try and spare you guys unnecessary footage. So I just needed that framework package, and I apologize about that, but wasn't aware that that was going to happen. So now Rocket Launcher UI is running here. And when you first run it, it's going to ask you that there's new updates detected. Do you want to update? Yes. All right, latest version, check updates. This is going to do its thing, and it's going to say there's a bunch of things to update. Put apply updates at the bottom. You sure you want to proceed? Yes. Okay. Now, every single time you open Rocket Launcher UI, it's going to say there's updates. If I close it right now and reopen it, it's going to say, hey, I found, you want to check updates? And it's like, dude, you did not just find new updates, right? So, yeah, I do want to install these. Now it'll restart. And I guarantee that when it restarts, it's going to say, hey, I found new updates, all right? And I'll run it just to make sure. Oh, it actually didn't do it. I guess because it knew it restarted. Let's close it and start it again, see if it does it. Okay, it's making me look stupid. All right, anyway. On my test box, every single time I run it, it asks, that it states that it found updates. Maybe it'll do it tomorrow or something, who knows. But just be mindful that it does it a lot. Maybe every once in a while you actually scan and look for an update. Most of the time I put no now. The next thing you want to do is do this fix INI files. This thing fixes anything that might be missing from your installation. I don't know if you want to reset everything to default values, but let's see what happens here. Okay, so I clicked the emulators tab here, and if you see over here on the left, it says global, and it has all of these things underneath here. I think we're gonna do MAME since I have MAME running. I know MAME is working, and that is always the first step whenever you're dealing with front end stuff. Does my actual installation work, you know, prior to trying to do whatever I'm trying? Okay, I picked the worst ROM I could have possibly picked. All right, is this Tetris? All right, so obviously MAME is working, right? MAME is working, so we know we should proceed. We got a working version of MAME. So I found it in the list over here. I double click it. So the one thing you want to do, this guy for some reason is pointing to MAME UIFX. We're not using that. We're using just straight up MAME, or at least I am. So just click this hourglass. Tell it what a MAME stuff is. If I remember correctly, I think I just have it in program files. Like, I don't even remember. I haven't touched this machine in forever. And you want to point it right to the exe. And there's an auto hotkey file that's called a module, and it's already with your rocket launcher stuff. What auto hotkey or AHK, what it does is it initiates a series of commands based off of whatever you're doing. It's kind of like an automation thing. Like for example, you could use auto hotkey to do anything on your machine as long as you code it. It uses its own kind of like type scripting language, whatever it is. I don't even know what language it is. I've used it before, but for example, I could program something that like, oh, I hit S key and it starts a web browser and opens this tab to go to this place and logs me in or whatever, right? You can automate like quick, short key type things. So make sure you always have the modules loaded, the AHKs, because I have a feeling, and I'm not 100% sure because I didn't look at the AHK files, but I believe that's what it uses to get the ROMs to load and go into full screen for emulators, and then exits out and closes the application and stuff. So it's always good to just make sure it's there. The next thing you want to do is make sure that your ROMs, the extensions for the ROMs that are supported by your application, are actually listed here. And if you need to add more that is supported, you just put a pipe, right? And then a pipe is a bracket or whatever, the up and down symbol, and just type in whatever the next one is. And if you want to put another one in, you put in another one, right? And then that'll save. Now, what's weird here is I'm not seeing my default list here. I have to fix that because that's not entirely right. Okay. What I was doing is in my other installation, I somehow got this thing to populate with all of these emulators and stuff. And I'm not sure exactly what step I missed there because I am doing this off of like a 30-day memory bank here. But we're gonna just add one by default by hand. So I click the plus button there. I'm just gonna name this one MAME, and this might be a duplicated effort since we did this here, but for some reason this is the way I've gotten it to work. And me personally, maybe I'm duplicating effort here or something, but this stuff works. So I'm selecting MAME global because that's the one that I configured over there. And that's pointing to the something's going on outside here, all kinds of sirens and stuff. Anyway, now it's asking me where the ROM paths are for MAME. So I'm just going through there and I'm pointing. There it is, ROMs. Oh God, it's reading the ROM directory. There's like I don't even know how many files are in there. I hope this doesn't take forever. Okay. Next. I swore there should have been a database file there too. I might have to stop and look at why don't I have a database? Okay. I think I realize what is missing here. I'm gonna copy out the databases from Hyperspin, and I'm gonna put them in Rocket Launcher UI, and in the database folder. I think that might be what's missing here. If not, I'm gonna cut the video yet again and look at what's different. Oh, well, there's the new update thing that I was talking about. So if I click yes and I scan for latest version, it's going to do the scan and it's going to tell me nothing was there. Right? Update detection finished, and there's like nothing there. So if you see that every single time, don't even worry about it. Just every once in a while, just make a habit of checking for it. Okay, so that fixed the database problem. Okay, so let me just go over that again, okay, guys? Because I'm sorry that, like I said, there's a lot of steps to setting this thing up, and I don't do anything scripted. I just go on here, and sometimes it's good because you get to see the troubleshooting process, and sometimes it's bad because you see me fuck up. Um, so I went into Hyperspin, and then I went into this database folder here. These folders are databases for every single game for that emulator, right? And they're named a certain way, and I just did a control A to highlight them all. I did a control C. I backed out. I went into Rocket Launcher. I went into the Rocket Launcher UI folder, and then I went into databases, and I just dumped all the folders in there. Okay, it can read into these folders and get the XMLs. You don't need to pull out every single XML. What this does is when we added this game here, this MAME emulator here, which by the way also has the ROMs pointing to it and the default emulator pointing there. I then went into the games tab with MAME still selected over here, and I did this audit all games for the system thing, right? And you can see it running a check here. What it's doing is it's reading that XML file and it's checking the ROM database and it's checking the name of your ROM versus the name of what is listed in the XML, and then updating your database list to let you know which games you have. If it's green, you have the game. If it's red, you're missing that file or there's a naming problem with that file. For example, here's a name of a ROM that's 3DS. The game description is 3Ds, the Three Dealer Casino House. I probably deleted this fucking thing. Um, let's go into that MAME directory and see if we can find this file. All right, so there's all my ROMs. I'm looking for something named 3DS, and that didn't work out. Started from the beginning again. Actually, I can see right here that I don't have it. And I'm just doing a double check, making sure it's definitely not there. All right, now, does that mean anything? That just means I don't have that ROM set, that ROM, right? But like I said, this isn't like a sure thing. This is just a check because I can sit here and put a compressed file in here, um, and name it 3DS and put a file inside there that says 3DS, and as long as everything matches up, uh, I can't make a. Okay, let's do this. I'm just trying to. I don't know if it does an actual check inside of it. What is this? You know what? I don't know what the ROM set actually is, but let's just see if this hacks this the because in my opinion, it should also check the ROM inside of it to make sure that it has the proper files inside of it, but I don't think it does, and that's just what I'm trying to demonstrate, is that um, this stuff can be finagled. And there it goes, right? It turned green. Now, is that an actual real ROM? No. It's a fucking text file inside of a zip file that has the right name, right? But now it's saying that I have that game. But if I try and launch this game and test it, it's going to fail, right? Because it's really not a game. Um, Same thing with if I rename this to the shitty game, right? Actually, yeah, I could probably do that, right? So I just rename that, and then if I go into, I went into Rocket Launcher and then databases, and then I'm looking for the main folder, and we're not going to go through all of these, but we're looking for the MAME XML file, and I do edit. Now I'm editing the XML file list, right? So if I do 3DS, if I do search for 3DS, where is it? Why did that come up as? I do a search for 3DS, it pulls me to a clone. Okay, there it is. This is the actual entry in the XML file. So from this game tag to the end closing game tag. So the game name equals 3DS. Well, now I want to change that to the shitty game, right? And I save it. And now let's do this audit again. Well, now 3DS is gone, right? But if I look for the shitty game, it's probably going to say I have it. Where's T? R. Sometimes I hate how many games I actually have because this stuff. Okay, TH. The shitty game. I got it. Awesome. I have the shitty game. Right? No harm, no foul. I'm going to fix all these things. I'm going to put them back to. This isn't really a game. I'm going to delete it. I just wanted to make a point that your XML file is not weighted in gold, right? It's whatever you put in there versus whatever your ROM name is named, and you can fix that stuff and rename it. It does not mean that, whatever. What really is weighted in gold is opening the emulator manually and trying to run that ROM. If that works, then this is nothing more than just mapping a database to the correct file. That's all it is, right? So that the rocket launcher knows how to reach the file. So all I do is delete that fake ROM that I have, and now I'm going back in and I'm going back into the XML database for Rocket Launcher, and I'm going to find the shitty game, and I'm going to rename it back to 3DS. Which, by the way, I think it's I think 3DS was like a one of those stupid like fucking slot machine things, and I probably deleted the ROM, which I'm not worried about. So if I run my audit again, the shitty game is gone, right? And 3DS will be back, and it will be red because I don't have it, right? So I hope that made sense to everybody, because that's going to make up for a lot of stuff later on. So let's close this. Now another thing you could do is you can do show me what's missing only, right? And then this will let you know what ROMs you're missing from your ROM set. So in case you were just trying to do, if you didn't want to do like a ROM dump like how I do, and you want to just look for the games that you want and what the ROM name is, here you go. Um, the other thing is, if you do existing only, you can actually use this to see if Rocket Launcher would be able to successfully open that game. So let's just take 10-yard fight here. And if you see this little rocket symbol here, if you highlight that game and hit this rocket symbol, it should load. There you go. It loaded MAME. I still had to push OK, but it loaded MAME and it called that particular ROM, right? So that's telling me that not only is my database working, but it's able to determine my emulator. It's using its auto hotkey stuff to actually get into the emulator, and it's running the right ROM, and it's allowing me to exit, right? So that has confirmed that we have a working, from Rocket Launcher's perspective, we have a working version of MAME. All right, we have a game list. It was able to open a file. All right, it's the same thing if I open this MAME thing here and select a 10-yard fight. It automated that process. It's working. I don't know if there's anything in here that we need to touch. Let me just refresh my memory because we're pretty much done with that. Nothing is like screaming out to me here. Oh, yes, there is definitely something here that needs to get done. So we went into the Rocket Launcher UI, and we went into the front ends tab here, and we're gonna add a new front end because, like I said, Rocket Launcher is not a front end. Rocket Launcher UI or Rocket Launcher is not a front end. Your front end is Hyperspin, and HyperHQ is your configuration tool for the front end. So we're gonna name this Hyperspin. And we're going to tell it where Hyperspin actually is. So let's just go back up a directory, and it wants Hyperspin. And then I think we leave this at auto and this at default. Okay, and we're going to save it. Now the next thing is we want to make this the default one, and we want to make it active. So highlight Hyperspin and hit this icon right here. It looks like a folder with a thumbtack or something in it. But as you can see, it moved the default check mark off of Rocket Launcher UI and put it here. The next thing we want to do is the next icon over that looks like a red dot or something like that. You want to click this. This is going to make this check mark go from here to here. Okay. Oh, that was the thing I was missing. I am so sorry. We have to do another step. I was wondering why this was missing. I feel like an idiot. Okay. It's now working with the front end, so it populated this list here. So I'm sorry, I gotta go back and do one little minor thing here. I gotta go into okay, it looks like it's saved those settings. Let me just make sure that this is still working. Okay, so that's still working. Yeah, so that was a missing step. That was my fault. And what this did was it created the communication path from Hyper Launcher UI or Hyper Launch, Rocket Launch, whatever, to the front end, which is Hyperspin. But it needs that bi-directional communication, right? So now we have to. I think we're pretty much good with the Rocket Launch section. So now we're going to move into the HyperHQ section, which is the front end for Hyperspin stuff. So I'm just clicking this HyperHQ thing, and this is the configuration tool for this. This is all fine. You can leave that stuff like that. Let's go into wheel settings up here on this first tab thing, and then we're going to choose a wheel. We want to set up MAME. So just click MAME in that list and leave this at hyper launch and leave this PC game thing disabled. And you want to just click this folder next to executable, and you want to go into, I'm already in my Hyperspin folder. So, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of my other configuration, my other setup. So let me go into, I usually like, by the way guys, I usually like to put a folder, I'll show you in a second. Let me do this MAME thing. So MAME, and I'm clicking exe. Just to stop for a second and just show you guys how to really set this up the right way. This emulators folder that's inside of Hyperspin, I usually put all my emulators in here. Like I would have had a folder named MAME with all of its files, and then a folder inside of that MAME folder for a ROMs folder. It just makes things a lot easier when you're configuring stuff, so that you're not going like how I'm doing right now, where I'm pointing all the way out to program files and then going into MAME and then going into the ROMs folder, right? It just makes it a lot easier. I'm not going to move it now though, because then I have to go back and change all these other paths. So we're just going to leave it like that. But I should have moved it. And another reason why I didn't move it is because there's like 10,000 ROMs inside there, and it'll take like probably like 10 minutes to move that folder from one directory to the next. So it's staying where it's at for now. So the next thing is click ROM path. And once again, this is what I'm talking about. I got to go into computer, I got to go into program files, right? Put all your stuff in one folder. Make sure you separate it. All right, here's MAME. And there's the ROM folder inside of MAME. Okay, it's going to take a little bit because it's like freaking out that I have so many files in there. Jesus Christ. Oh, God, it's going to crash. Oh, maybe it didn't crash. Okay, good. Because on my laptop, this crashes quite often. Now, there's other things you could set up. What the wheel sizes look like, the image sizes, blah, blah, blah. This is all mainly cosmetic-y type stuff. You can filter out stuff from your wheels and everything. I'm not going to really mess with any of that stuff right now. I'm just going to leave it at default and see what happens. Start on a random game. When it spins on its own, when it's sitting idle, how many games does it jump? The jump timer, how long it sits idle before it jumps games. You know. Video, okay. This is saying where your video file is going to be housed at. Sounds, okay. This is one that I change. When you see the wheel, what ends up happening is every time you scroll through a game, like you go to the next game and you go to the next game and you go to the next game, it randomly makes like some kind of random arcade noise. And it's kind of cool at first, and then you kind of like, as you're scrolling through like 50 games or something to try and find something, it gets annoying real quick. So I take that off, and I'm going to take it off right now too, because I just want the click sound. I'm going to leave. I'm in the main settings. I'm just looking for something. I'm going to leave the intro menu for the first time we run it, just so you could kind of see it. It's kind of cool the first time you see it. But it's loud and it's kind of obnoxious. So I'm going to shut it off after the first time. Another thing to look at is go into controls. And controls is what you'll use to interface with the front end. I'm going to just leave it at default right now because it's not like a huge thing for me to configure this stuff. Wheel settings, main menu. Let's just see what's here. Probably nothing of... So, you know what? I'll leave it on the main menu for the game sounds, and then you can hear it do its thing. So, I think we're pretty much good. We're going to run Hyperspin right now, and we're going to try and see if we can get MAME to run. Oh, it's in window mode. I obviously missed the setting, but this is kind of like the front end. You can skip. This is the front end intro video. I'm sorry. You can skip this by just hitting any button. So here's the sounds that I was talking about. So as you can see, we're having a problem with this thing talking back to to rocket launcher. But you did get to hear. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of this intro video. What else am I gonna get rid of really quick? I'm going to lower the volume as well, just so that you guys can possibly hear me better. And I got rid of that one now. So now I got to remember exactly why. Do I want to go full screen? Yeah, let's go full screen. I got to remember exactly why it's not finding this INI file. I'm obviously missing something here. Because I thought it was... I may have to pull my laptop really quick and just see what I'm missing here. It's kind of eluding me. I think I remember what it is. Give me 1 second, guys. It has something to do with this. Yep, this is exactly what it is. Um, so like I said, we were trying to create that um, bidirectional communication, so that Hyperspin knows how to talk to Rocket Launch, and Rocket Launch knows how to talk to Hyperspin. I'm just drawing a blank as to where I tell this thing where Rocket Launch is, because this thing by default was built for Hyper Launch, and we're now using Rocket Launch. So there's some stupid path I need to change, and I'm trying to remember which INI file it's in. So I think I'm going to actually, maybe it's global settings. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stop tape really quick. I'm going to just take a look at the difference between these two INI files and see exactly what I added into the other one or adjusted into the other one to get it to work correctly, because that is exactly what the problem is. So this should be a quick thing. Hey guys, so pretty much after this video, I'm going to go and schedule myself for an eye exam, because I completely did not. I mean, 2 minutes after I stopped the video, I figured out everything that was going on. I did not, for some reason, see the settings INI, and this is what I was looking for, which is in the Hyperspin directory under settings. There's a settings INI, and if you edit it, you will see this thing here that says hyper launch path. Now, originally this said C colon backslash hyper launch backslash hyper launch, right? I changed it to point to the rocketlauncher.exe, not the rocket launcher UI exe. The UI is for you to edit. This is the actual rocketlauncher.exe. The next thing that I was missing was when I created the wheel for MAME, I forgot to put the ROM extension in here. So you can always edit this stuff also. You could always copy the extension lists from your your rocket launcher entry as well. Um, so let's run it again, and let's see. No, it's going to run a full screen. It's going to look very stretched because this is a large monitor. Um, and I should have the sound pretty much muted. Okay, hopefully yeah, the sound sounds like it's pretty low. So this is MAME here, and if you could see, there's a little intro video of playing random things. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Here's Daphne, right? Here's PlayStation, and when you load up Daphne, for example, how it shows Dirk or whatever this guy's character name is with the background with the title there, that's called a theme. If you notice, every one of these that I'm going to has a theme. They're already in there by default. You can change them if you want, but I'm not really going to go into that kind of stuff too much. Just know that that's a theme, right? So we're going to go into MAME. Now, if you notice, the theme is kind of still the same. It says MAME. In the middle there should have been a video playing, and on the right there's a listing of games, right? So if you notice, this one has an actual logo with a video. That one comes by default, right? We're going to get to this stuff in about 5 minutes. We're going to get to this. But for now, let's just pick a game and load it. Okay, why is it not loading that one? I literally just loaded something 5 seconds before I started this video to make sure that everything was working. And now nothing is working again. This was literally working 30 seconds ago because I actually got it to load something, and now it's not working again. Try it again and see what happens here. It's not even calling rocket launcher. Why is that not working? I'm wondering if something's stuck or something, because it really was working 10 seconds ago. That looked like HyperLaunch was stuck running there. Okay, see, I'm not crazy. It does work. So, what happened there is HyperLaunch got stuck running in the background. So something's not killing the process. Okay, now that's working. Okay. Just want to double check and make sure that the process is actually being killed, because that was a little weird. Alright, it is being killed. So something must have just hiccuped. I don't know what that was, to be honest with you guys. I've never seen that really happen. But I know that it was just not functioning. So, it's working. Alright, after all of those video cuts and everything else like that, it is definitely working. So now, what do we want to do now to finish this up is I want to get, I don't know about you, but I don't like the fact that I have like text written here and I have no videos except for the first game of every single system. That brings us to the next thing, which is Hypersync Cloud. Now, I know this is going to sound like a sales pitch, but I cannot emphasize how easy Hypersync Cloud makes your life when it comes to dealing with this amount of volume of games. It's going to download every single piece of artwork that matches your XML file, every single video that matches your XML file, any type of theme, box art, cartridge, theme for your games per game, theme per game, theme per system. Whatever you tell it to, it's going to do that for you. as long as your XML file matches a database that they have. So don't try and don't alter your XML file too much as far as the actual tag that tells it what ROM it is. You can change the description to pretty much whatever you want, but the part that says, this is the ROM, try not to alter that stuff unless there's an absolute need to, and try and stick to naming everything to the way the XML file is. So rather than changing the XML file, rename your ROM or something like that. Because when you use Hypersync, it does that. Now, here comes the sales pitch. It requires money, right? And it requires a donation to Hyperspin. I paid for the platinum, which was $50. I think that gave me a year or something like that. So that's going to give me all of the artwork. That gives me the other thing it does is it gives you a discount to the next site that I'm going to pull up, which is EMU Movies. This site, unlike EMU Paradise, this site has all of the movie files for your games. It also has themes and stuff like that, but you really can't get, I think it has a limit on how many you could download, and you really can't get to the juicy stuff unless you contribute. Become a supporter. Here we are. And I think I gave them I did the yearly supporter. However, it's not necessarily $30 because when you buy the platinum one from Hyperspin, they cut you a discount code to EMU Movies, which brings this down to, like, I don't remember what it was, to be honest with you. I think it was like $20 or something like that. So overall, I spent about like $60, $70, whatever it was. I believe it was $70. And I got access to all the artwork, HyperCloud doing all my dirty work for me, and getting all of the videos. So let's talk about HyperCloud. Now, like I said, this is not required for this stuff to work. However, if you want your stuff to look cool and get all the files and not be 90 by the time you're done doing it, I mean, for example, on my demo box, I have every single Super Nintendo game, every single Nintendo game, every single MAME ROM for that version, every single Genesis game, and now I'm working on every single TurboGrafx, every single TurboGrafx 16, every single type of variant of Sega, 32X, CD, Sega Master System, Sega M2, whatever the hell that is, Dreamcast. I'll probably do Game Boy Color, etc., etc., right? And I only like to deal with things where I could get a giant list of games, right? There's no way in hell, even if I quit my job and did this as a full-time gig, it would still take me years to find all of the artwork for this stuff, clicking it, downloading it, renaming it to what it needs to be to match the XML files, putting them into file structures, yada, yada, yada. I don't want to spend 10 years doing this stuff. I'd rather pay for it, right? That's why Hyper Cloud Sync, whatever the hell it's called, is totally worth the money, right? We're gonna watch it run right now because I have accounts, right, at both of these sites. So overview, Hyperspin, EMU Movies. This is your user account settings. So this is where you, if you click this blue mail symbol, whatever, you're gonna put in your Hyperspin account, you're gonna put in your EMU account, and you'll test the login, right? I'm not gonna do this on video. Trust me that it'll work, right? Once it confirms that both of them works, it'll log me in here, okay? And it'll say logged in or whatever, and it'll make some like little noise. It'll show you avatar or whatever, and then we're gonna go from there. So I'm gonna log out for. I'm gonna stop this video for just a second, just so I can log in, and then because I don't want to see people seeing my password length or anything like that. Hey, okay, so we're logged in now. So the next thing, get the fuzzy warm feeling when I logged in though. Okay, there it goes. So we're definitely logged in. I just wanted to double check. So there's my username, whatever. I'm really not happy you could see that, but whatever. So we need to set up things, obviously. Okay, so click folders. First thing is we need the Hyperspin folder. And where is my Hyperspin media? Hyperspin media folder. Okay, so now I'm clicking the arcade. Okay, let's close that for a second. I clicked the arcade thing here. So now it's presenting this list of knowing every single emulator out there in the world, right? So we did MAME. So let's scroll down. And there's MAME. Are you sure you want to set up MAME? Yes. Now, clicking this update database thing, this will regenerate from their point of view what the new XML file should be. So if you've done a lot of description changing and stuff like that, you don't want to click this button because it's going to default that out. I don't know what drop system does, but we are definitely going to click sync system. And this is assigned to MAME, that's fine. Box art, there is no box art and there is no card art for MAME, right? Their arcade stuff. Wheel art, what do you want it to look like? And if you do like aqua green, right? And you click preview, that's kind of what an idea of what it'll look like. I don't really like these things. I put do not sync. Themes. That will download a theme per game. Might be a little cool, but at the same time, themes take a while to load because it's got to load the theme. Then you have a video loading, right? So unless you got a really high-end thing with like high-end system with like a solid-state drive running or something, some serious RAM running, yeah, I probably would not do that. Letters, we'll get to that. Pointer, whatever sounds. I don't really do any of this stuff. Video, however, right here. Sync videos. Yes, sync my videos. Sync intros. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a intro for the actual game or whatever. I don't really care. Main menu theme. Do not sync. Main menu wheel. Do not sync. Those are fine. I mean, if you want a different theme or whatever, I don't know what they look like. But if you don't like the regular main one, there's like a whole bunch of different ones you could do. Does this preview anything? Sometimes the preview button doesn't work, by the way. Like for certain things, it just won't show you what it looks like. So that's the default one. If I do arcade classics, yeah, see arcade classics is just not showing me. Cool Jeep style. I don't really care for these things. I will, however, look at this main menu theme thing later on because I think I want to see what some of these look like. So we're pretty much probably good to go on that. So now, right, we want to go to sync. And the only one we've configured so far is MAME, so that's the only one that's going to come up in the list. And then we're going to go to game videos because we told it that we want to sync game videos, right? But before I do that, I wanted to try and do game wheels, right? Because this is kind of quicker. I'm just going to do begin sync. Oh, that's terrible. That blew up in my face, so let's see something. I obviously missed the configuration because I noted damn well that this game wheels. Okay, sorry. The wheel art needs to be, I put it at default, but you could put these other like color things and stuff. I'm using default because I just want the artwork. I don't want any special border around the artwork. That's what it was. So let's see if it works now. Okay, it looks like it's definitely synchronizing now. And thanks to my huge database listing of games, this may take 10 years. Come on, don't make me stop the video again. It's been the hardest video to make. I keep having to stop and stop and stop, and I'm gonna have to put all these videos into YouTube and splice them all together. This is weird because I did this on the did this on my test box, and it didn't seem like it took this long. Now we could always check it, right? We could go into our meter folder and then go into MAME, go into images. Oh, there it goes. It finally kicked off. Yeah, that's probably why it took forever because I have 6,300 plus files that need to download. So they're all PNG files, so they're going rather quickly. However, we're not going to wait for 6,000 files. Let's look at these folders. I don't know exactly where this is dumping it to. I know it's definitely dumping it into the Hyperspin Media MAME folder. Oh, it's duh. I'm definitely scheduling for an eye exam. It's in the wheel folder, right? So there's all these files being dumped. How awesome is that? Look at this. Look at this. Just, I mean, it's like doing like it's got to be doing like 100, every 5 seconds or something. I mean, shit, man. This would have taken me just to get this far. Would have taken me like a week, right? We haven't even done the videos yet. Now, so you're probably sitting there going, "Oh, well, it's a bunch of fucking images. Who cares, right? What does it look like?" Well, let's take a look because we can still run Hyperspin while this is loading up. All right, so there they are. They're starting to fill in. Look at how cool that looks. Now, some of them are missing. Maybe it hasn't gotten to those yet or something, or maybe there's something wrong with a naming thing or a database thing. You can always fix that though. Or just download your own image for those ones that it doesn't have a database listing for. Or you could go into Hyperspin's website and get the image yourself if it's having trouble syncing it. But I mean, shit, to fix a couple versus having to do. I mean, look, I only ran it for like a couple minutes or whatever, and look how many it's already done. I mean, and if you have duplicates, it'll show. I don't know what the hell that one is. That one looked kind of weird. If you have like multiple ROMs, like a revision A, B, C, D, whatever, it'll figure that out and it'll put the image multiple times along with the video multiple times when we get to that. And then you could just go in to your XML file and just delete those extra entries when you figure out which version you want to keep, which is what I'm working on now. So let's exit out of this. All right, Let's see where it's at. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel it. I really don't need a giant database. I'm building this on a different system. So now let's do the big boy, the game videos. All right, let's does it go into other? No. No, it goes into video. There it is. MAME video. So there's the default one. And look at these things coming in. Now the thumbnail always says like EMU Movies for some reason or whatever. I don't know if that changes. These do take a little while. I usually let this stuff run and then I go eat dinner. And not for nothing, for a huge database of MAME stuff that I have. If I eat dinner for an hour, maybe do a couple of chores really quick, I'll come back and they'll all be done. And it's kind of cool. It's like, all right, well, I did a bunch of other stuff I needed to do, and this thing took care of it. And maybe there's only a couple I need to fix or whatever, but it sure is a hell of a lot better than doing this stuff by hand. And these are nothing but ordinary files, right? They're just like little clips of the game. You know, either there are track modes or people playing or whatever. I don't even know what the hell game this is, 005 or 005. It looks like a terrible fucking game. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Looked like there was like a helicopter or an ice skater rink and a guy beating the shit out of people. But anyway, let's just cancel. Do I want to cancel this? You know, these 1940 something games, man. There's just too many of them. I'll let this run for a little bit longer. Now, like I said, when I ran this, MAME was the more brutal one to deal with, only because there was just so many files. It looks like it's picking up a little bit of speed now that it's gotten through a lot of those first videos. I guess maybe they weren't as compressed or something. Maybe they're a little larger. But let's check it out while it's still downloading. I mean, isn't it great? It's running in the background. I mean, I can play Street Fighter for an hour if I wanted to, and it's still doing whatever it's got to do. All right. So now, hopefully, we have some videos. Let's go back to the. Oh, by the way, if you hold left or right, this is the letters that I was saying we'll talk about later. If you hold left or right, it'll show you these letters. And you can use, I don't know what that is. Is that a number? Oh, okay. And then you hit enter. You figure out where you want to go, you hit enter, and it'll allow you to jump there quickly. So 005 I knew would load because I saw it before, right? Now granted, I have the volume very low. But you can still see these things. I mean, you can hear these things very well when you have the volume set up. But how cool is that? I mean, last video, we had the mallet thing where we're like, all right, I don't know what any of these games are, right? And we were kind of going through one by one. And I kind of feel foolish now because we're going through it one by one and loading the game and seeing what it was and then deleting it, and just a tedious long process. Now I can easily go through these things and see what game it is, what does it look like, how does it play, and make a quicker, easier decision on which games I want to get rid of. Get rid of the artwork, get rid of the ROM, whatever. Take it out of my XML, whatever I'm going to do. It also makes it quite easy to see games that you've never seen before to see if you want to play them. I mean, I don't even know what that game was. 1945 K3. I've never seen this version of 1945. It looks like futuristic and stuff. It kind of looks like Gigawing or whatever. Um, Definitely, probably. I would not have thought that this was like a futuristic 1900 shooter up type game. So I'll probably give that a whirl later on or something. 2020 baseball. I like this game. I don't know why, but I do. And look at that. Now I can easily pick out these shitty fucking slot machines and get rid of them. Because I cannot stand these things. I don't know why I would want this. I mean, there's like 8,000 freaking slot machine games I could get for free on an iPad or whatever. What the hell do I want it in my MAME system? Here's another one. Namco 30 test. What is this? It's like some questionnaire thing or something. I don't even know what the hell this is. All right. So anyway, it lets you see what you're dealing with. Here's another shitty game. I don't even know what this is. I would probably try it. See what I'm supposed to do. See if I even like it. Oh, let's look at something else. So before we were looking at the XML database directory for MAME, and when we went in, there was like 100 XML files. And I said, don't worry about that. We're only looking for this one, right? Well, if you push G, by default, it's G. You'll get this listing in MAME, right? Which shows you action and baseball and basketball. And if you look, here's fighter games, right? So what happens when you click this? It shows you only games that match. Granted, all the videos aren't there, but it shows you only games that match, that kind of genre that you're looking for, that filter. So you're not going to find Galaga in this fighting list, but you will find all your Street Fighters and Darkstalkers, for example, etc., etc. If I do G again, now, oh man, I really want to play a golf game. Okay, here's golf. Here's this. Here's Birdie King. I'm sure I'm gonna hit the inevitable golden tee, right? Gun games. It's got some cool theming, right? You could update the theming for this stuff too, I believe. And then if you want to just go back to the main stuff, you just go back to all games. And enter. So definitely some cool things, right? So if you didn't want to go through updating all of your XML for all these things, you can just go in, and I'm gonna open up that XML again. You can just go into this database right here, right? I'm in Hyperspin folder, database, MAME, and here's all these XMLs. So let's say some game got classified incorrectly or something. Let's go with the fighter games, right? Aggressive Dark Combat, Alien Challenge. I don't know what the hell this is, but let's say I'm like, Alien Challenge is not, in my opinion, a fighter game. Well, I could delete this and get rid of Alien Challenge off of that particular XML listing, but it can still be listed in my all game stuff, if that makes sense. It's a completely different database. Or maybe you have a game that should be a fighter that's not listed here, right? You could copy one of these and just change the stuff so that it shows up. Or let's say you're like, I don't give a shit about bowling, right? You could get rid of this. and it probably won't even show up on the listing anymore. Let's actually try that. Right, let's remove bowling. So bowling XML is no longer there. Let's go back into we're back in MAME. Is there a bowling? Oh shit, it's still there. Okay, so that tells me that there is another file. There's another XML file in there. Get used to dealing with XML files because this thing, a lot of this emulation and front ends deal with XML files everywhere. So there's got to be it's probably this one, genre. Yep, there it is. So if I delete that bowling games thing, it should no longer be able to call that XML file, and therefore it should also not show up in the listing now. Basketball, beat 'em up, boxing. So it's gone. That easy. That easily I got rid of a listing that I didn't want. If I want to put it back in, where is okay, it was called bowling games. I just copied the name so it's written correctly so I don't get the XML entry wrong. Add it into it. I want to put it back. I mean, I could put it anywhere here. I could put it towards the end, whatever, but let's put it back where it was. And all I got to do is just copy. Actually, I should have probably did this. I could do it this way. It's fine. Save it. Let's load it up again. It should be back now. There it is. I guess I still haven't gotten to the B levels, but let's see. And now it loaded Capcom Bowling. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So this can save a lot of work, this setup, as soon as you get it working. I'm going to cancel this out because I'm only like, what is this, like 2% of the way in. I'm only up to A's and it's still running. So this is going to run for a long time and I really don't want it to. What I do want to do is just go over another synchronization. This time I'm going to do, let's do Nintendo. Now, granted, I did not set up an emulator for Nintendo. I did not configure HyperLauncher or anything for Nintendo, but we can still do this stuff because it doesn't, I don't think it really cares. So the options are a little different, right? Yeah, see, I don't really like these. I'll just leave it at. Okay, I want to sync videos, obviously, and system. Now here we go, box art. Do I want 3D box art? That looks like that. Or do I want the default, which is just a 2D picture of it? Do I want card art? Do I want it to be a 3D vector image? Do I want it to be a default image, which is just a front picture of it? Do I want to just see the title? That shows just the title, like if you're looking at the cartridge from the top of the cartridge down, you would see the skinny frame and it would just be a title. Now, here's the thing, right? This is going to ask you for an artwork folder. if you go into the media, right, folder of Hyperspin, and you look for, we're doing Nintendo, right? So let's go into Nintendo. And we're looking at images, right? Artwork files, so let's go into images. There's all these artwork folders. If you go into them, they're blank. But usually one will have something, right? Because they always do one of something so that you can see how it's done. So this is saying box art should go into artwork 2. So change this to artwork 2 for box art. If we go into artwork 1 folder, it doesn't show anything. So I don't really know where those cartridges are supposed to go. Did it go other? No, that's a pointer. Backgrounds? No. So what I think is going to happen here, yeah, I think what's going to happen here is I don't want the box art. All right, so I'm not going to sync the box art, but I do want the 3D vector image of the cartridge. I think that's pretty cool looking. So I'm going to tell that to go into artwork 2. And it probably should not matter. And it should sync that. So now that we set up Nintendo, let's see if we could get it to sync the game carts. So there it goes. It's syncing up those game carts. So now if I look into this artwork 2 folder, there it is. Right? Boom, they're loading. Okay. I'm going to stop that. Let's get the wheel images. I forgot to set it up. Oh, I'm getting tired. I could always tell. No. I could always tell when I'm getting tired because I start making even more mistakes than normal. I'm just gonna let it do a couple so that we can get the effect, and then this is the end. I'm not doing it anymore. It's 8:49. I'm gonna eat dinner finally, and then probably go to sleep. And put these videos to load while I'm eating, and hopefully you guys will get out tomorrow or something. All right, so that's enough there. Let's try and do a couple of videos. It's funny because I'm watching which videos it's downloading, and I actually had to look and be like, am I doing MAME? Because all the same titles started coming up, 1943, blah blah blah. I was like, oh, tell me I just synchronized the wrong game, the wrong system. Okay, now granted, I don't have any of these games in there, right? This is just working purely off database XML file. That's all it's doing. Okay, I'm just gonna stop it. Let's take a look at the Nintendo section now. So there's the theme. That was already there by default. Okay, so there it is. There's a cartridge, which is definitely cooler looking than my other setup. So I'm going to go back and resynchronize it. There's a video. There's a cartridge, and there's a video. So now, last question that you might be asking is, oh well, when I download a synchronized something like that and I don't like it, do I have to go back and delete all those files? I don't know, to be honest with you. We're going to find out right now. So let's say I didn't like the cartridges. Let's say I want boxes. Change my mind. I want boxes. I think they look cooler. Let's see what happens. I've seen that happen before. That's a weird thing. I don't know why it does that. I think sometimes if you go too quick, it thinks, so it's actually overwriting the file because they're named exactly the same. So I could just swap my entire database from cartridge to box. Now I thought that was what was going to happen, but I didn't want to say that and then look wrong because I've looked wrong quite a bit in this video. But now if we go back into it, so now I got boxes. Granted, me personally, I think I like the box. The 3D boxes look a little weird. That would probably look cool for like if you're doing like PC emulation, because that's what kind of like what the PC games look like. So anyway, guys, that's all I got. I mean, I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a very long and tedious process getting it, but I told you in the beginning that Hyperspin is beastly, and I knew I was going to stumble on it because there's just too many damn steps, and I was working off of old memory. But we got it working, right? Hyperspin is one of those systems that people struggle. I know I personally took 2 or 3 turns at it before I finally got everything working correctly. And being the 3rd time I've set it up, 4th time I set it up actually, whatever, I still stumble upon getting everything working. But hopefully this made sense, and maybe you could get your systems working or whatever. That is pretty much all I've got. I think that's enough for today, actually. If you guys like the Hyperspin stuff, I may continue doing Hyperspin for setting up particular emulators. Like one I know I am currently having trouble with is Daphne, because Daphne is very different than most of the other emulators. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me to figure out how exactly you get it loaded. I'm still researching that and testing things. Maybe even how to set up Daphne to get that working. Because that's an interesting one as well. And maybe I'll do a video on using Kega Fusion for all of, I think Kega Fusion, I just started working with it not that long ago. Sorry, I'm still stuffy here. I got that working not that long ago, and I believe it supports pretty much everything Sega. It was kind of cool because other than Dreamcast, I don't think it handles the Dreamcast or the M2 or whatever, 2M, whatever that weird one was. I don't know if it handles those, but I know it handles the Master System. It handles the 32X. It handles the Sega CD. It handles the regular cartridges, the regular Genesis cartridges. I'm not sure exactly what else is there, but it handles quite. That's a lot, right, for one emulator to do. And you got to configure. Even though it's one emulator, you still got to configure like every single part of Hyperspin or Hyper Rocket Launcher. I mean, to call the right command line strings, if you may, for what you want Kega to run. So, for example, if you're in the front end, messing with Sega Master System, it tells it, we're loading a Sega Master System ROM versus running a Sega CD-ROM, right? So that's an interesting setup too. But I've pretty much gotten that working. I got Genesis working. I don't know about everything else, but yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm pretty much rambling now. But like I said, if you guys want to see more of the Hyperspin stuff and how to get these things working in Hyperspin, then let me know. I'll keep going through them. Because they are kind of beastly. But once you get the hang of it, it's really not that bad. I mean, you see, I could get through this setup pretty quickly. Even quicker. I could set that up probably in 15 minutes. If I wasn't going through a tutorial of it. So it's not too bad. And I know it's kind of brutal going through this video and watching me stumble on it and figure it out, and you're trying to follow it, but it's not the easiest thing to set up. So let me know, guys. Have a good one.